Imagine standing 1 year from today, looking back at everything you've accomplished. The goals you once only dreamed about are now your reality. What changed? You made a plan, and more importantly, you committed to it. Too often we set goals with excitement, but abandon them when life gets tough. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't luck. It's a clear vision, consistent action, and an unshakable belief in their purpose. Before you even think about what you want to achieve, ask yourself, why does it matter? A goal without a reason is just a wish. When your purpose is clear, discipline becomes effortless. Success isn't an accident, it's designed. Picture your ideal future 1 year from now. What does it look like? Now work backward. Break it down into monthly and weekly milestones. A year is built day by day, choice by choice. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. You don't need to feel inspired every day. You need to show up every day. Small, consistent actions compound over time. The people who succeed are the ones who push forward even when it's hard. Let's be honest, there will be setbacks. But failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of it. Every misstep is an opportunity to refine your strategy and grow stronger. The only real failure is giving up. If you want to transform your life, transform your environment. The people around you either push you forward or pull you back. Find those who challenge, inspire, and believe in you. Success isn't a solo journey. Imagine waking up every morning with an unshakable sense of purpose. Imagine knowing exactly why you do what you do and feeling a deep connection to your goals. That kind of clarity isn't just inspiring, it's essential. Because here's the truth, most people don't fail because they lack talent, intelligence, or resources. They fail because they lack a reason powerful enough to keep them going when things get tough. We live in a world where setting goals has become second nature. People write down New Year's resolutions, set quarterly targets, and fill their journals with dreams. But if you ask them why they want to achieve those things, you'll often get vague answers. I want to be successful. I want to be rich. I want to be happier. Those answers may sound good, but they're not enough. They're not deeply rooted in something meaningful, and that's exactly why most goals fade away before they ever turn into reality. Think about the last time you set a goal and abandoned it. Maybe you started going to the gym but stopped after a few weeks. Maybe you planned to wake up early and be more productive, but after a few mornings the snooze button won. Maybe you launched a new project with excitement only to feel overwhelmed and quit before making real progress. If you dig deep, the problem wasn't your ability. It was your lack of a strong enough reason to push through resistance. Because resistance will always show up. It's easy to be excited at the start. The beginning of anything new feels fresh and full of possibility. But the real test comes when excitement fades. When you wake up and don't feel like working out. When you're tired, when progress feels slow, when obstacles appear. These are the moments that separate those who succeed from those who give up. And the difference between the two isn't willpower. It's a deep connection to a purpose that's bigger than the discomfort of the moment. Let's break this down with a simple example. Imagine two people decide to run a marathon. The first person signs up because they think it would be a cool challenge. They like the idea of crossing the finish line. So they start training. But after a few weeks, life gets busy. Waking up early to run isn't fun anymore. Their legs are sore, it's cold outside. Suddenly skipping a day turns into skipping a week, and before they know it, they've quit. Now imagine the second person. They're running for a different reason. Maybe they lost a loved one to heart disease and they're running to raise awareness. Maybe they battled their own health issues and this race symbolizes their comeback. Maybe they're doing it to set an example for their kids, to show them what's possible when you commit to something. That person doesn't quit when training gets hard. They don't stop when it's inconvenient because they're not just running a race, they're running for something bigger than themselves. That's the power of knowing your why. It turns discipline into devotion. It shifts effort from something you have to do into something you're honored to do. The best part? This isn't just about big, life-changing goals. It applies to everything. If you want to wake up earlier, you need to know why. If you want to build a successful business, you need to know why. If you want to improve your relationships, your health, your skills, none of it will happen unless you have a reason strong enough to anchor you through the challenges ahead. So how do you find that reason? How do you uncover the kind of purpose that keeps you moving forward when every part of you wants to stop? Start by asking better questions. Instead of saying, I want to be successful, ask yourself, what does success look like to me? Why does it matter? Instead of saying, I want to make more money, ask, what will that money allow me to do? Who will benefit from it? How will it change my life and the lives of those around me? Keep asking until you get to the emotional core of your goal. Because the truth is, most people set goals based on what they think they should want, not what truly drives them. They chase things that society, social media, or their family tells them are important. But if your goal isn't connected to something real inside you, it won't stand the test of time. One of the best ways to solidify your why is to visualize the consequences of inaction. What happens if you don't follow through? If you don't commit to your goals, what does your life look like a year from now, 5 years, 10? Imagine waking up in a future where you let procrastination win, where you settled, where you played it safe instead of pursuing what you really wanted. Does that future scare you? It should, because that's exactly where you'll end up if you don't take your why seriously. But here's the good news. The opposite is also true. If you commit today, if you define your purpose and use it to guide your actions, imagine where you could be in a year. Imagine waking up with confidence, knowing you're on the path that truly matters to you. Imagine looking back at all the progress you've made, the growth you've experienced, the person you've become. That version of you isn't some distant fantasy, it's the direct result of the choices you make today. So don't just set goals, define your why. Make it so strong that quitting isn't an option. Make it so powerful that it drowns out doubt, fatigue, and fear. Because when you know your why, success isn't a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. Picture yourself exactly 1 year from today. Close your eyes and imagine it. What do you see? Are you healthier, wealthier, more fulfilled? Have you achieved the goals you once only dreamed about? Now, ask yourself this. How did you get there? Because success doesn't just happen. It's not a lucky break or a sudden overnight transformation. It's a process. And that process starts with designing your future before it arrives. Too many people approach life without direction. They set vague goals like, I want to be successful, or I want to be happier, but they never create a clear roadmap for how to get there. They wake up each day reacting to whatever comes their way, hoping that one day things will magically fall into place, but life doesn't work that way. Hope is not a strategy. If you want to create real change, you have to reverse engineer your success. You have to define exactly where you want to be and break it down into actionable steps. Think about an architect designing a skyscraper. Before a single brick is laid, before any construction begins, there's a detailed blueprint. The foundation, the floors, the windows, every single element is planned out in advance. Because without that plan, the entire structure would collapse. Your life works the same way. If you want to build something incredible, you need a blueprint. You need a plan that takes you from where you are now to where you want to be. The first step in creating that plan is to visualize your destination. Be specific. If you want to be in the best shape of your life, don't just say, I want to be fit. Define it. What does that look like for you? Is it running a marathon? Lifting a certain amount of weight? Feeling confident in your own skin? The clearer your vision, the easier it becomes to create a path toward it. If your goal is financial freedom, don't just say, I want to make more money. Decide exactly how much you want to earn, what kind of work you want to be doing, and what financial freedom means for your lifestyle. When your vision is specific, your actions become intentional. Once you've defined your end goal, the next step is to reverse engineer the journey. Take that 1 year vision and break it down into milestones. If you want to start your own business, what needs to happen each month to get there? Maybe the first month is about researching your industry and developing a business plan. The second month could be about building your product or service. The third month might be about marketing and finding your first customers. When you chunk your goal into smaller, manageable steps, it stops feeling overwhelming. It becomes something you can take action on every single day. This process applies to every area of life. If you want to write a book in a year, how many pages do you need to write each month? If you want to save $10,000, how much do you need to set aside each week? If you want to build better relationships, what habits do you need to develop to strengthen those connections? Success is simply the result of consistent, intentional effort over time. One of the biggest mistakes people make is focusing too much on the outcome without committing to the process. They dream about the finish line but never take the first step. But here's the truth. Your results are determined by your daily actions. If you want to change your life in a year, you have to change your habits today. Every small decision you make either moves you closer to your goal or further away from it. Imagine two people who both want to be healthier. The first person waits for motivation. They tell themselves they'll start eating better and exercising when they feel ready. Weeks pass, then months, and nothing changes. The second person, on the other hand, takes action immediately. They create a workout plan, set a meal schedule, and commit to showing up even when they don't feel like it. 1 year later, the difference is undeniable. The first person is still waiting for the perfect time to start. The second person has transformed their body and their mindset. The difference wasn't talent, resources, or intelligence, it was the plan. The second person didn't leave success to chance, they designed it. They mapped it out step by step and committed to the process. Now, this doesn't mean your plan will be perfect. It won't be. There will be setbacks. Life will throw unexpected challenges your way. That's inevitable. But when you have a roadmap, you never feel lost. You might have to take a detour, you might have to adjust your pace, but you always know where you're going. That's why having a clear plan is so powerful. It keeps you focused when distractions arise. It keeps you moving forward when motivation fades. Think about any great success story. Whether it's an athlete, an entrepreneur, an artist, none of them got to where they are by accident. They all had a vision, a plan, and the discipline to follow through. The same applies to you. If you want to achieve something in the next year, don't leave it up to chance. Design it. Define exactly where you want to go, break it down into actionable steps, and commit to taking small, consistent actions every single day. Because a year from now, you will arrive somewhere. The question is, will it be a place you intentionally created or a place you drifted into by default? The choice is yours. Success isn't about big, dramatic moves. It's not about massive breakthroughs or overnight transformations. It's about what you do every single day. It's about discipline. Because discipline is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. It's what turns a vision into reality. Motivation may get you started, but discipline is what keeps you going long after motivation fades. Think about the last time you were excited about a goal. Maybe it was a new fitness routine, a business idea, or a personal project. In the beginning, it felt easy. You were inspired. You were ready to take on the world. But then something happened. Maybe you got tired. Maybe progress felt slow. Maybe you faced a setback, and suddenly that fire inside you wasn't burning as brightly. That's the moment where most people quit, not because they're incapable, not because their goal was too big, but because they relied on motivation instead of discipline. Motivation is temporary. It's based on how you feel in the moment. And feelings change. Some days you'll feel excited, other days you won't. Some mornings you'll wake up energized, other mornings you'll want to stay in bed. If you only take action when you feel like it, you'll never build anything great. That's why discipline matters. Discipline means doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It's about making a commitment to yourself and following through no matter what. Imagine two people trying to achieve the same goal. The first person relies on motivation. They wake up and ask themselves, do I feel like doing this today? If the answer is yes, they take action. If the answer is no, they procrastinate. The second person relies on discipline. They wake up and take action whether they feel like it or not. A year later, the difference is undeniable. The first person is stuck in the same place, still waiting for the right moment, still making excuses. The second person has transformed their life, not because they were more talented, not because they had more resources, but because they had the discipline to show up every single day. Discipline is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. But just like any muscle, it has to be trained. It doesn't happen overnight. You build it through small, consistent actions. You build it by making promises to yourself and keeping them. Every time you do what you said you would do, you build trust with yourself. You prove to yourself that you are capable, that you are reliable, that you are someone who follows through. And over time, that belief becomes unshakable. One of the best ways to build discipline is to eliminate the need for decision-making. Every time you ask yourself, should I do this today? You give yourself an opportunity to say no. But when something is non-negotiable, when it's just part of your routine, there's no debate. You don't wake up and ask yourself, should I brush my teeth today? You just do it. because it's part of who you are. Treat your goals the same way. If you decide that you're going to work out every morning, don't make it a choice, make it a commitment. If you decide that you're going to spend an hour a day working on your business, don't question it, just do it. The less you rely on willpower, the easier it becomes. Another key to mastering discipline is focusing on small wins. Too many people set huge goals and then feel overwhelmed by the size of the task ahead. They focus so much on the end result that they forget the only way to get there is through daily action. But when you shift your focus to small wins, everything changes. Instead of worrying about losing 50 pounds, focus on eating a healthy meal today. Instead of stressing about writing a book, focus on writing one page. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by a massive project, focus on completing one task. Small wins create momentum, and momentum is what keeps you moving forward. There will be days when you don't feel like it, days when you're tired, days when progress feels slow. That's when most people give up, but those are the days that matter the most. Because discipline is built in the moments when you push through resistance. Every time you take action, despite not feeling like it, you reinforce the identity of someone who is disciplined, and over time, that identity becomes who you are. Think about the most successful people in any field: athletes, entrepreneurs, artists. They all have one thing in common. They don't just work when they feel like it. They show up every day whether they're in the mood or not. They put in the reps. They do the work. That's why they succeed. Because success isn't about occasional bursts of effort, it's about consistency. One of the biggest myths about discipline is that it's restrictive, that it takes away your freedom. But the truth is, discipline creates freedom. When you have discipline, you're in control of your life. You don't let distractions pull you off course. You don't let emotions dictate your actions. You don't let procrastination steal your potential. Discipline gives you the ability to create the life you truly want. A year from now, you will be a reflection of the habits you build today. You will either be closer to your goals or further away from them. The choice is yours. Will you wait for motivation, or will you commit to discipline? Will you take action only when it's convenient, or will you show up no matter what? Because at the end of the day, success isn't about what you do once in a while. It's about what you do consistently. And consistency is built on discipline. Failure is inevitable. No matter how well you plan, how disciplined you are, or how much effort you put in, there will be moments when things don't go as expected. You will make mistakes, you will face setbacks, you will experience disappointment. And in those moments, you have a choice. Let failure define you, or let it refine you. Most people fear failure, they avoid it at all costs. They see it as proof that they're not good enough, not smart enough, not capable enough. But the truth is, failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of success. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every incredible transformation is built on a foundation of failures. Because failure is not a dead end, it is data, it is feedback, it is a lesson in disguise. Think about a child learning to walk. They don't stand up and immediately start running, they fall over and over again, but they don't quit. They don't say, maybe walking isn't for me. They don't feel embarrassed or ashamed. They keep trying, adjusting, improving, and eventually they succeed. That's the natural process of growth. But somewhere along the way, we forget that. We start believing that failure is a sign we should stop. We start seeing it as something to be avoided rather than embraced. If you look at the most successful people, in any field, you'll notice something. They fail more than the average person. Not less, more. Because they take more risks. They put themselves in situations where they might fail, and when they do, they learn, adjust, and keep moving forward. Take Thomas Edison, for example. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Most people would have given up long before reaching 10,000 failed attempts. But Edison understood something crucial. Every failure was bringing him one step closer to success. That's the mindset that separates those who achieve their goals from those who don't. The same principle applies to your own journey. No matter what goal you're working toward, you will face obstacles. Maybe you start a business and your first product launch flops. Maybe you commit to a fitness journey and after weeks of effort, the scale hasn't moved. Maybe you take on a new challenge and despite your best efforts, you fall short. In those moments, the easy choice is to quit. to tell yourself it wasn't meant to be, to let failure break you. But the right choice is to step back, analyze what went wrong, and use that information to improve. Failure is never wasted if you learn from it. You see, every time something doesn't go as planned, ask yourself 3 questions. What went wrong? What can I learn from this? How can I adjust my approach moving forward? That simple reflection turns failure into growth. It shifts your mindset from I failed to I learned. And when you adopt that perspective, failure stops being something to fear. It becomes a necessary part of the process. Think about some of the greatest innovators, athletes, and entrepreneurs. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, was cut from his high school team. He couldn't let that define him. Instead, he used it as fuel to improve. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper job for lacking imagination. That failure didn't stop him. It propelled him forward. J.K. Rowling's first Harry Potter book was rejected by 12 different publishers. But she didn't give up. She kept going. The difference between successful people and those who stay stuck isn't that successful people never fail, it's that they don't let failure stop them. They see it as part of the journey, not the end of the road. They take every setback as an opportunity to learn, grow, and come back stronger. The problem is, most people let failure become personal. They don't just see it as a mistake in their strategy, they see it as a reflection of their worth. They think, I failed, so I must be a failure. But failure is an event, not an identity. Just because you failed at something doesn't mean you are a failure. It simply means you found one way that didn't work, and now you have the opportunity to find a better way. One of the most powerful things you can do is reframe how you see failure. Instead of seeing it as a negative, start seeing it as a teacher. Every failure holds a lesson if you're willing to look for it. Maybe it's teaching you to be more prepared. Maybe it's showing you a weak spot in your strategy. Maybe it's pushing you to develop patience and resilience. Whatever the lesson, it's always there, but you have to be willing to find it. Another way to embrace failure is to change how you define success. Too often, people only define success by the outcome. If they achieve the goal, they feel successful. If they don't, they feel like a failure. But real success isn't just about the result, it's about progress. It's about learning, improving, and growing along the way. When you start measuring success by how much you've learned instead of just the final outcome, failure loses its power over you. Imagine looking back 1 year from now. If you never take action because you're afraid of failing, where will you be? Exactly where you are today. But if you commit to trying, to failing, to learning, and to trying again, where could you be? Growth only happens when you're willing to step outside your comfort zone and take risks. A year from now, you'll either be someone who let failure hold them back or someone who used failure as a stepping stone towards success. The choice is yours. Will you let failure stop you, or will you use it to move forward? Because in the end, the only true failure is giving up. Success is never a solo journey. No matter how talented, disciplined, or determined you are, the people you surround yourself with will either elevate you or hold you back. The right environment can push you beyond what you thought possible, while the wrong one can slowly drain your potential without you even realizing it. That's why one of the most important decisions you can make on your journey to success is to be intentional about the people in your life. Take a moment and think about the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they pushing you to be better, or are they keeping you stuck? Do they challenge you to grow, or do they encourage complacency? The reality is your environment shapes you far more than you think. If you spend time with people who constantly complain, make excuses, and settle for mediocrity, it's only a matter of time before you start doing the same. But if you surround yourself with people who are ambitious, driven, and committed to growth, you will naturally rise to their level. This is why successful people are so intentional about their inner circle. They don't leave it up to chance. They seek out mentors, peers, and friends who inspire them, challenge them, and hold them accountable. They understand that proximity is power. Being around the right people can accelerate your growth in ways you can't achieve alone. Look at any high achiever, and you'll find they had people in their lives who pushed them forward. Michael Jordan had coaches and teammates who pushed him beyond his limits. Steve Jobs had brilliant minds around him who helped bring his vision to life. Even the most self-motivated individuals rely on the right people to keep them focused, challenge their thinking, and support them during tough times. Now, This doesn't mean you need to cut off everyone in your life who isn't ultra successful, but it does mean you need to be mindful of who is influencing your thoughts, actions, and mindset. Are you surrounded by people who make you better, or are you surrounded by people who drain your energy? Are you engaging in conversations that challenge and inspire you, or are you stuck in cycles of negativity and gossip? Sometimes making a change means setting boundaries. It means limiting time with people who don't support your growth. It doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't have to make an announcement or cut people off entirely, but you do have to be intentional. If certain relationships are pulling you in the wrong direction, it's your responsibility to adjust your environment. At the same time, you should actively seek out people who will help you grow. Look for mentors, people who have already achieved what you're working toward. Learn from them, ask questions, observe their habits. You'd be surprised how willing successful people are to share their knowledge with those who genuinely seek growth. If you can't find a mentor in person, seek one through books, podcasts, or online communities. Find peers who are on the same journey as you. Surrounding yourself with like-minded people creates momentum. When you're around others who are striving for success, their energy becomes contagious. Their commitment reinforces your own. And don't underestimate the power of accountability. When you share your goals with someone you respect, it adds a layer of commitment. It's easy to make excuses to yourself, but much harder when someone else is holding you to your word. Whether it's a friend, a coach, or a mastermind group, having someone to check in with can make a huge difference in staying consistent. Another powerful way to elevate your environment is to seek out discomfort. Growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. If you're always the smartest person in the room, you should always be surrounding yourself with people who are a few steps ahead of you, people who force you to level up. This might mean joining a group or organization where people are doing things that seem intimidating to you. It might mean attending events where you feel out of place at first. It might mean asking for advice from people who challenge your thinking. But every time you push yourself into a new, higher level environment, you expand what you believe is possible. And it's not just about the people either. Your physical and mental environment matters too. If your workspace is cluttered and distracting, it's going to be hard to focus. If your daily routine is filled with negativity, constant scrolling through social media, consuming negative news, or engaging in meaningless distractions, it's going to be hard to maintain a success mindset. Take a look at your daily habits and surroundings. Are they supporting your growth or holding you back? Small changes can make a huge impact. Listen to podcasts that inspire you. Read books that challenge your thinking. Spend time in environments that make you feel motivated and energized. The little things add up over time. You might be wondering, what if I don't have successful people around me? That's a valid concern, but the truth is you can start shaping your environment even if you don't have access to high-level mentors right now. You can immerse yourself in success through the content you consume. You can start showing up in places where ambitious people gather. You can become the kind of person that attracts the right people into your life. The most important thing is to start being intentional. Stop letting your environment be something that happens to you. Start creating it. Success is not just about what you do, it's about who you become. And who you become is deeply influenced by who you surround yourself with. 1 year from now, your life will be a direct reflection of the environment you cultivate today. Will you continue to be shaped by negative influences, or will you take control and build an environment that sets you up for success? Will you stay comfortable, or will you seek out people and experiences that challenge you? The choice is yours, because no one succeeds alone. The right people will challenge you, inspire you, and push you beyond what you thought possible, but it's up to you to find them, to seek them out, to create an environment that fuels your growth. Your future success depends on it.